What's happening, people? So in today's video I'm going to be painting the rear sets on my Honda Grom. Now the reason why I'm painting these is because they stand out like a sore thumb and they don't match anything else on my bike. So what I wanted to do is paint them whilst they're on the bike without having to remove the sets, because to remove them you have to take out the axle bolt, you have to take out all the other surrounding things that are connected to the sets, and if you know a little bit about mechanics you'll know it is quite a task to take these off. Of course I would love to get these powder coated, but I didn't want to spend that much time and effort on these today. So keep watching. If you want to copy my method, I'm sure it's going to help you. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Now the main items you're going to need for this is some etch primer because it's aluminium. You also are going to need some enamel gloss black spray paint or a colour of your choice, and also some plastic sheeting to cover the bike with. Now the first thing I'm going to do is give the rear sets a good scrub down with some warm soapy water, because if you don't do that you're going to be spraying over a load of dirt and stuff like that. Take your time with this, there's no rush, make sure they are nice and clean, and then use a dirty tea towel like I am in my video. No, don't use a dirty one, use a clean one to wipe down all of the remaining water and whatnot, and give it some time to dry, because if you don't, what's going to happen is you're going to get some leaks whilst you're spray painting. So as you can see here, I'm wrapping the bike with this drop cloth. Now if you don't know what a drop cloth is, it's basically a roll of plastic sheeting which has masking tape attached to it at the top. It's what tradesmen use to, or should use, to cover furniture and windows whilst decorating in your home. I thought this would be a good product to use for my bike, because obviously there's quite a large surface area to cover. Now what you want to make sure you do when you're doing this is you cover as much of the bike as possible, except the rear sets of course, because that's what you're going to be painting. Make sure you cover all around and behind them, because the spray paint will go everywhere if not, and it will cover your bike, and the last thing you want to be doing is ruining your bike or trying to clean off overspray. It just won't happen. I hope that if you're doing this it's not windy, because you can see in this video it's really windy when I'm trying to wrap it. It took me about 10 minutes to cover the whole bike, which isn't too long to be honest. And also one other thing to make sure is that you've got some more masking tape or electrical tape like I'm using, just to tie down any loose ends of the sheeting. Or if you really are a cheapskate and you don't want to splash out on the plastic sheeting, you could always use newspaper, cardboard, an old towel, your ex-wife's underwear, no don't use that, or a dust sheet, and don't use that either actually, because the spray paint will probably go through that and ruin your bike. But yeah, on a serious note, try and use the plastic sheeting. So now I'm just removing the foot pegs from the bike, because I don't want to get them rubbers coated whilst I'm spray painting. This was a nice easy job actually, I enjoyed that. So the first thing I'm doing here is giving it a light coat of the etch primer. I did one coat and then waited 15 minutes. I repeated this process 3 times. It does sound the tin, you can just do one coat. However, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I like to keep putting on loads of thin layers of paint. That's why I get such a good finish like this. So after applying the primer, you should really wait 24 hours for it to dry properly. I, however, was impatient that day. I waited 1 hour because I didn't want to leave my bike outside mine overnight, wrapped up like Tutankhamun, and especially if it's going to rain. I wanted to get this job done. So yeah, I didn't rush it, but I gave it an hour. Anyway, as you can see here, I'm using the gloss black spray paint. I've done 3 very light coats of this to begin with, and then I gave it a 4th heavier coat. And to be honest, it went on really well. The first couple of coats, you will notice it doesn't look like it's sticking properly. You'll still see the primer, but that's just how it is. After like your 3rd or 4th coat, it will just be perfect. So make sure you wait about 15 to 20 minutes between each coat of paint. And then once you've done your final coat, give it a good hour or 2 at least for it to dry and harden before removing the plastic, because otherwise you could potentially get more wet paint, and if the plastic does stick to the rear sets it could peel it off. So just let it dry, give it a good few hours, have a nice cup of tea or a coffee, I don't know, watch a bit of YouTube. I've got plenty of videos you can watch, so just give it that time. So I've taken all the plastic sheeting off, just giving the bike a once over, making sure there's no overspray. I looked as hard as I could, I couldn't see any. It's come out really well. It was quite funny. During the drying time, there was a seagull that flew down and started pecking away at the bike. I think he thought that the plastic sheeting was hiding food behind it. I chased it off, but yeah, he never come back, so that was good. And he didn't do any damage to the bike, luckily enough. So as you can see here, I'm just putting the foot peg rubber back on. Now, when I first took these off, there was 3 bolts. I've only put 2 bolts back on because one of the bolts doesn't seem to be doing anything, and it was silver, so I was like, no, that ain't going back on. But yeah, overall, I'm really impressed with the finish. Even my neighbour, who is a retired car sprayer, came up to me and he was inspecting the bike. Not that I asked him to, but he was inspecting it, and he said, you know what? He said, I can't believe how well you've done that, considering you used rattle cans. He said, I didn't expect a finish to be as good as that. So yeah, overall it's come out really well. I hope this video's helped you, and if you're thinking about doing something like this yourself, yeah, why not? Just take your time. Preparation is key. Don't forget, if you're new here, please subscribe, and I will see you all again soon. Bye.